everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, I just got back from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Guys, this will be a spoiler review, so if you guys haven't seen the movie yet, go get out of here. Like this video and then come back to it later. And then, come here to watch my spoiler review after you're done watching the movie. But guys, I just can't believe today was finally the day. I am still processing the masterpiece of a movie I just, witnessed. Of course, to start off the bat, I'm not gonna lie, when I knew Sam Raimi was gonna do this, I was super excited to hear that he was doing this because I love the Spider-Man, his Spider-Man trilogy movies. I grew up with those movies, but not gonna lie, I was a little bit concerned because, he hasn't been directing in such a long time. This is his first, debut back into a superhero movie. Hell, his first debut into the MCU of directing. So, or hell, even then, back as a director. So I was a little concerned, not gonna lie, of him doing this movie. But at the same time, I was like, I know he'll kill it doing a freaking movie because he'll follow through on making a kick-ass movie. And he did that, guys. Literally, I had nothing to worry about. He killed, as directing this movie, he just killed it. This movie was freaking phenomenal. I cannot wait to get into the spoilers of the story and the big moments of the story of who we saw in this movie, the cameos and what the future holds in the MCU of where this all can go. Literally, guys, again, this is a spoiler review, so I'm literally about to get into the story. So again, if you haven't seen this movie, back out now and go watch the movie and then come back here and watch the spoiler review. But guys, we start off right off the bat. This movie does not waste any time to start off. Forget on what people have been saying. A lot of people have been saying that this movie feels cluttered, it feels jumbled, it feels like it feels like it didn't have enough time to run out the story and tell the story. This movie executed everything. The pacing was amazing. The story was perfectly executed. And they didn't waste any time. It didn't feel jumbled with the characters that we did have it. They did, and mind you, it's called the Multiverse of Madness, so they didn't skimp out on any, lack of, cameos or any lack of, of craziness in this movie. Literally, the name suits the movie. It's literally the Multiverse of Madness. We have so many great cameos in this movie, mainly coming from the Illuminati, which can't wait to talk about the Illuminati. But we start off this movie right off the bat, with Defender Strange and America Chavez and that crazy realm that we see in the trailers with, them running. We literally start off that moment of them running in that crazy realm. And apparently the realm that they're in is the realm where the Book of Sidorak is. And mind you, in this movie, apparently, in our universe with our Doctor Strange and Wong, apparently, in a way, Strange thinks the book doesn't even exist. Apparently, it's just a fairy tale. It's not even real. But apparently, Wong says it's real, saying that the Sorcerer Supreme gets to know that the Book of Sidorak exists. There's a book that tells you about it, which I'm shocked Strange didn't get. That was a big shocking moment to me that Strange did not know the Book of Sidorak was actually it wasn't a fairy tale, or it was actually a real thing. It wasn't, you know what I mean? So that was really cool to me. And really funny to me when Wong's I read it, it's actually real, and Strange is what? So that was really cool. But we start off again, like I said, we start off with Defender Strange and America Chavez, and that's getting introduced to America Chavez, and right now we're kind of wondering what the hell is going on. Right away we start off the bat just with action and throwing into the story of really what's going on. And the big ribbon creature is trying to chase them and trying to get America Chavez, and apparently he's trying to get her ability to travel through the multiverse, because America Chavez's ability is traveling through the multiverse. So we get to know that's how we're going to get through the multiverses, is through her ability of traveling through the multiverse. So pretty much the Multiverse of Madness is through her and her capability of traveling through the multiverse. No one's able to do it except her. And we get to know that right out of the gate, that she's the only one really that's able to travel through the multiverse. So that was really cool to know that this creature is trying to take her abilities to travel through the multiverse, and apparently the Book of Sidorak gives people this enormous amount of energy to pretty much it can make someone strong enough to take out and protect, I guess, America Chavez. So pretty much we just see Defender Strange trying to get America Chavez to the Book of Sidorak, so they can, or the Book of Ashanti, so they can pretty much take out this big creature, which apparently I guess is like it's called the ribbons of the cloths of Sidorak. I guess that's what the being is called. At least that's what I think it was. That's trying to literally, trying to take America Chavez's power. But apparently, if this creature gets to America Chavez, it takes it like if this creature gets to America Chavez, apparently her powers go, but apparently she dies. I guess if her powers get taken, she ends up dying, which was really like straight out the gate, like holy crap, like we're really getting thrown into this of like how dangerous this is. Apparently, if this creature gets America Chavez's ability, or hell, if anybody gets America Chavez's ability, they could literally take over the world and control a multiverse and control outcomes of different multiverse and pretty much cause chaos. So right now we're pretty much wanting, oh my god, we want America Chavez to not to let that not happen, where like her powers are going to get taken away. So that was really cool, seeing that opening sequence where, the Defender Strange is trying to protect her, trying to pretty much, trap the Colossus of Sidorak, and trying to trap this creature from trying to kill and take away America Chavez's abilities. But right away, it becomes to the point where, like, the creature, when, like, we think, Defender Strange has trapped this creature, it becomes too overwhelming to the point where, like, Defender Strange is like, there's no other way. Like, if I take your abilities, you will end up, like, one sacrifice ends up saving the multiverse. And he's like, I'm sorry, ends up trying to take America Chavez's abilities away, which shocked me that Doctor Strange, or hell, any Doctor Strange would want to do that, like take a kid's life. But I guess the fate of taking one kid's life is to protect the universe. Is he's like, that's how he said it. Is like, me taking your life will save the multiverse, and that's what I just have to do, because he's not strong enough to stop the Colossus Sidorak. Like, he's not strong enough to stop it. But we get to the point where, like, he doesn't finish what he's about to do, because the Colossus Sidorak ends up killing Defender Strange. Was a crazy sequence. Ends up stabbing him right as he's trying to take America Chavez's abilities away, and America Chavez is able at this point, you know what I mean, like she ends up, when she's trying to get to the Book of Ashanti, while Defender Strange is lying on the ground pretty much dead at this point. The Colossus of Sidorak pretty much ends up grabbing America Chavez, ends up trying to suck all of her energy out, but Defender Strange is still at this point like, I need to at least stop it so like she can get away, America. So that was really cool at the moment where like he ends up like slicing off with the last energy he has left, like making knives to slice off all the arms of with all the Colossus Sidorak so she can get away and go through her portal. Because we end up finding out in this story that she's not able to control her abilities. The only time she's able to, like, her abilities end up, happening, of her, like, opening up the portals to different multiverse, is apparently when she's scared. That's the only, like, she doesn't know how to control it in this movie. And we end up seeing and going on this adventure with her, and her learning how to control her abilities, and her pretty much, like, we end up finding out that she's not able to have dreams because she's the only one in the multiverse. There's no other versions of herself throughout the multiverse. That's what makes her so special. Like, she's only one person, and she doesn't have, she doesn't dream because there's no other version of herself in the multiverse. And we find out in this movie, when you dream, you're seeing a different version of yourself throughout the multiverse, which was very cool to hear. That is like something that's really cool that they made, like the whole, how the multiverse works is when you have a dream, you're seeing yourself in the multiverse, like a different version of yourself. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really cool that she wasn't able to have dreams. It was sad, but it was also cool that, she's only one out of all the billion other different multiverses. There's only one of her, and she has the ability to travel through the multiverse, but she can't have dreams because there is no other version throughout the multiverse of her. She's only herself. There's no other America Chavez. So I thought that was very cool. And then, we end up, when she goes through that portal, and we end up having Defender Strange on the ground, like, when he ends up taking, pretty much, saving America Chavez so she could go through the portal, his body ends up getting sucked in through, and ends up going into our universe with our Doctor Strange. And then we cut to Strange getting ready for, he's getting ready, and it looks like he's getting ready for a wedding. And he's actually going to Christine's wedding, and that was really cool to see. It was sad but cool to see him, to see him go to Christine's wedding. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's strong enough for him as a person that how much he loves Christine, and how much we know he loves Christine. But he was strong enough to go and support her, of her getting married. And I thought that was really cool that we see Strange doing that. I feel like that was really big of Strange to actually go to a wedding, to actually, support Christine, even though, he probably doesn't want her getting married unless it's him, because he knows how much he loves her. So that was a really cool moment. Is like, we just, it's like he's just, we see his day-to-day basis of after No Way Home, because this takes place after No Way Home. And we have mentions of Spider-Man throughout this. People mention Spider-Man in this, and of course he's mentioning him just by Spider-Man. He doesn't know, of course, about Peter Parker. So we do get an understanding of that this takes place right after No Way Home. Just in the mentions of Spider-Man, and the one dude that he ends up meeting at Christine's wedding, in one of the pew booths, is actually the one doctor that he ended up pretty much embarrassing in the first movie, when that one doctor was about to make a mistake in a surgery, and Strange ended up pretty much embarrassing him in front of everybody. And he's like, so we ended up seeing him, and we ended up finding out that the one dude ends up asking Strange, like, oh, was this the only way? You know what I mean? Like, I end up, sometimes I wonder if there was any other way, where, like, I think he said, like, his brother or his sister ended up dying, and then he said, like, his 2 cats ended up dying as well when he was blipped. And he's like, I wonder if there was any other way or any other outcome that this could have went. And he's like, there was no other way. And he's like, he's like, oh, it's funny, you know what I mean? Like, out of, you end up, being the good at your job or whatever, but then you end up, becoming the world's most powerful superhero, but, you didn't end up getting the girl, which was really messed up that he ended up saying that, but he's just bitter and angry because, he's like, oh, it's, of course, you end up, taking things in your hands, you know what I mean? And, it's all, you know what I mean? And it goes to show of him saying earlier, that one dude saying, like, oh, I wonder if there was any other outcome. And that's pretty much the story of this movie, is also from Strange's perspective of how he always takes it upon himself, and it's always no other way except Strange's way of how he thinks there's only one way to do things. And pretty much we saw that when he was just the surgeon. He always thought there was only one way to do things, the Strange method. And pretty much that's what the one doctor was saying again. It's always, like, you and me, I thought I wonder if there was any other solution or any other way, but knowing you always would like to think there was only one way of doing things. So I thought that was really cool that we go on this adventure with Strange of, pretty much the story of how he thinks there's only usually one way to do things, and we see that like Defender Strange thought there was only one way to pretty much save the multiverse, and it was taking America Chavez's powers away, but also having her die by doing that. He thought there was only one way to save the multiverse, and we end up having that moment where like the wedding pretty much gets like ruined essentially, because Gargantos ends up coming and trying to take America Chavez's powers away and trying to capture her, and we don't really know where Gargantos even comes from, but the portal that America Chavez came through is our portal, so she's in our universe right now. After Christine's wedding, Strange and Christine have a moment where she ends up walking up to him. He's at the bar, pretty much upset that she's getting married, but in a way he's happy for her. But of course, the way he's biting he's biting his tongue at the fact that he's saying he's happy for her. But in a way he's upset because he's not the one that married Christine. And he kind of even comes to terms of of what that one doctor said is his old colleague, when he said he's thinking his way, if there could have been another way where I could have ended up with Christine, you know what I mean? Like, he's probably, he's kind of thinking that, like, I wonder if there was, one universe, you know what I mean? Or, like, he's wondering to himself, I wonder if there is a place where I was with Christine. He ends up, like, thinking about that. He thinks about that, like, would there have been an outcome where I was with Christine that I could have made it work? And it's, like, that one colleague of his pretty much makes him realize that, like, oh, I wonder if I did this all wrong, you know what I mean? The woman I love is getting married. And she even, he says, I'm happy for you. And she's like, are you happy? And he's like, yeah, I am. But in all seriousness, he's really not. And we end up seeing that story as well, like him thinking there's only one way to do things, but also a side of Steven where it's like he wonders of, you know what I mean, if he did the right thing of pretty much not fighting for Christine. We end up seeing that throughout this story as well, of him trying to find love and stuff. And, you know what I mean? And realizing, did I do the right thing of, me not trying to make it work with Christine, and me keeping her away, it was me protecting her, and we see that throughout this story. But it was really cool when Gargantos does pop up, and then and Strange jumps off the balcony and ends up doing his kick-ass shit. That was really cool. Like, the fight choreography, the CGI, the action set pieces were freaking phenomenal, and the camera work was freaking phenomenal. So seeing that big fight sequence with Gargantos trying to take America Chavez, and then we see Strange trying to stop Gargantos, while also trying to save America Chavez, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And then we see Wong getting in the mix when Strange gets knocked out by, Gargantos' tentacle. That was really cool. And then we see, while Strange is knocked out, we see the cape, the cloak of levitation trying to save America Chavez. and takes her up very high and like puts her on like and ends up like Gargantos ends up grabbing like the sign, ends up throwing it at the cloak of levitation, and pretty much like makes America drop on a ledge. And that I see the ledge work, like Sam Raimi is known for loving like having like ledge work, like ledge action set pieces, and we do see that with America Chavez, where she's up very high on the ledge. And Gargantos is about to get her, but then of course we see the cloak pretty much trying to wake up Strange, trying to get him back in the mix, because at this point Wong is captured after the cool sequence that Wong really had, and I thought that was really cool seeing that whole big set piece. And then Strange ends up getting up, but then he ends up getting captured when he ends up getting grabbed by Gargantos along with Wong, and he ends up pretty much getting free enough where he can get the stop sign, and ends up shoving it through the eye of Gargantos, which was really cool to see that. Like, they did not shy away from like the gross, the gritty, gross horrorness of like the horror genre of like scary movies. They did not shy away from that in this movie, which was really awesome to see the grittiness, them not shying away from that, and them not shying away from like horror aspect of the tone of the movie. Like they really tone in on this, and of the spectacle of the movie, of how the movie is tonally, on how like the action set pieces are, how gruesome it is. They do not shy away in this movie at all, which I was worried about that when I heard that I was getting the PG-13 rating, because I wanted them to go to that level of that that gritty horror aspect, and we do end up getting that in this movie. Regardless of this movie showed me that things don't need to be rated R. Like, you can push the PG-13 thing and it could still be a masterpiece, and that's exactly what this movie was. So going after that big fight sequence where, we do take out Gargantos, we end up going back to, we end up going into this diner, and, America Chavez is explaining how she's able to bounce through the multiverse, and explains her abilities, and explains how she can't control it, explains that, Defender Strange, she was, trying to get the Book of Ashanti to stop this creature that was trying to go after her and take her abilities, and how Defender Strange was like willing to almost kill her. So she has this struggle of trying to actually she has like a struggle on trying to trust our Doctor Strange after her experience with Defender Strange, and explains that even in all these other universes, she knows who Christine is, and how she explained, America explains to Strange how like him and Christine didn't work over there, and like how throughout all the multiverses of Strange's, it never works out with Christine. So we kind of thinks it's like fate. You know what I mean? There's always something getting in our in me and Christine's way. And, we really do see that. Him, in a way, trying to find love through this movie. And, and him, pretty much, come to terms with the fact of, like, he always, thinks that his way is right. And, you know what I mean? And there's no other way. And he has to come to terms with the fact of, like, that a different Strange almost was willing to sacrifice a kid's life to take her powers so he could save the multiverse. And he's kind of, like shocked at that he would do something like that, and there was no other way to do things. And, we really see that throughout the movie where, they're trying to protect her, and they end up taking her to the Sanctum, and pretty much, I think not to the Sanctum, but to Kamar-Taj, to pretty much try to protect her. So that was really cool. And then they end up finding out, that must have been magic, because all the runes on Gargantos, there was runes on Gargantos, so this must be, witchcraft, at hand. So they end up bringing in, when they end up finding out the Book of Ashanti is real, they end up bringing in, Wanda, which that's when Wanda comes in, because they need help, because they end up fighting, witchcraft and stuff. So they have to bring in someone that is, keen into witchcraft. So they ended up bringing in Wanda in, and that was a really cool cut sequence where we get the WandaVision music, and we cut to Wanda, and she's with her kids, but it ends up being a dream. But when she wakes up, it ends up being a nightmare because they're not there with her. And that was a really cool moment where we do see Strange go to see Wanda, and we see that in the trailers when he's like, he ends up walking, in this field of of trees, these field of these bloom trees, and that's where Wanda's staying. She has this house in the middle of nowhere, really, that was surrounded by a lot of trees and flowers. And she ends up I guess it's like apple trees and stuff, and she ends up pretty much she's just doing lawn care essentially. And, she's just living her best life. Apparently, she told Strange that, she's left magic behind. She's just, doing her own little thing. You know, I mean, she's like, oh, I know you would come here at some point when to talk to me about Westview. You know, I made some mistakes, and he's like, I'm not here to talk to you about Westview. We see all that moment in the trailers. And he ends up saying to her, like, oh, I need your help, you know what I mean? And I need an Avengers help. And she's like, oh, there are other Avengers. And he's like, well, no other Avengers is, you know, no other Avenger is the strongest Avenger in deals in witchcraft. And that's exactly the one Avenger I need. And he's like, you know, this will get you back on the lunchbox. And, you know, we get that in the trailers as well. And, you know, he gets to the point of the moment where, like, he's talking to, you know, to Wanda about, like, there's this girl, you know, America Chavez, you know what I mean, that, you know, is, you know, that is able to travel through the multiverse. And, or like he said, there's this girl, you know what I mean, that's able to travel through the multiverse, and I need your help protecting her, because there's creatures after her trying to take her ability and trying to kill her and take her ability to travel through the multiverse. And if someone's able to do that, then, you know, the whole world could, all the multiverse could be at stake. Like, it could be madness, you know what I mean, at this point. And, you know, she said, you know, well, why don't you bring America here, and, you know, it's quiet here and no one knows about it, and I could protect her. And, you know, Strange is like, I never mentioned her name. And that's when she kind of realizes, oh shit, I made a mistake. I just mentioned the person's name. And we end up finding out that Wanda didn't, you know what I mean, she didn't leave magic behind. She actually, as we all know, she had the Darkhold. And he pretty much, you know, shows her that, he pretty much shows, you know, Strange that this was all an illusion, that, you know what I mean, that I actually, you know, I've been using the Darkhold, and I need her, I've been sending those creatures after her because I need her, you know, abilities to travel through the multiverse so I can get there and be with my children. So we end up seeing her whole plan. That's when we end up finding out that, you know, Wanda, the Darkhold has consumed Wanda. She has been sending the creatures all throughout the multiverse to get to America Chavez, to take her abilities away, so she has the ability to go travel through the multiverse to get to a point in the multiverse where Billy and Tommy are alive and she can be with them. And we do end up seeing in the trailers where, like, we do see Wanda and Wanda together, and we do see that moment where, like, you know, Wanda is like, you know, is touching, you know, Scarlet Witch's cheek, and it actually turns out that Wanda is the multiversal Wanda that actually had Billy and Tommy, like, that actually, you know, like, had Billy and Tommy that actually are real. So in that universe, there is a Wanda that actually, you know, gave birth to Billy and Tommy and actually are real. And we do see how lost and how like sad Wanda is, and how she's, like, so far gone in the Darkhold has consumed her. It pretty much, you know, like, Wanda's no longer there. It is pretty much the Scarlet Witch. And we do see that moment where, like, you know, Wanda says to Strange, saying, like, look, that was me showing mercy, me sending those creatures after, you know, America. I could have done that. I could have came after her myself. And I'm going to give you until the end, until sundown, to hand over America, or, you know what I mean, or I'm going to come out as the Scarlet Witch, and I'm going to take you guys out. And we do end up seeing that moment where, like, she goes full on, you know, full-on Scarlet Witch, and ends up pretty much attacking the whole, you know, Camartage, compound. She ends up, like, destroying it. She ends up killing everybody. She ends up, you know, taking down the compound. People that from different sanctums actually came to Camartage to actually try to stop Wanda, but it ends up not working. You know, she realized at that point when, you know, Strange was trying to negotiate with her, saying, you know, there's, you know, you have to come to terms with the fact that Billy and Tommy weren't real. That was your illusions and your spells. You know what I mean? That you made an illusion where you thought they were real, but they were never real. And she's like, well, you know, I forget what she says. Like, oh, you know, when women make children every day, they were real. And you know what I mean? And I can make them real by me going through the multiverse and getting my children. And that was just really, just really in depth of showing how much of a villain Wanda is, and how she's willing to do anything and everything to get back her children, even though in the multiverse, there's a different Wanda that had Billy and Tommy, and those aren't really her children. They're that Wanda's children, but she's not even, like, thinking straight on that front of, like, they're not even her children over there. That those are their Wanda's children. It's that Wanda's children. And we do end up seeing that journey where, like, you know, she ends up killing everybody at that Camartage compound. And we do end up getting the moment where, like, Strange and America Chavez end up, you know, shooting themselves into the multiverse. and we end up getting to the point of where the Illuminati are at, which was insane. And we do get like moments of us transferring through different points of the multiverse. Like we do get to see different versions of the multiverse. Like there's one multiverse where like you're straight up paint. There's another multiverse where it's like War Worlds, where we do see all the dinosaurs and things. There's another one where like we're a cartoon. We transferred the one where it looked like it was like a 2099 world. We transferred the one where it looked like the Black Noir world, which was really cool. I wonder if like these are hints that, like these are hints from Marvel. Like if we do get like do any future movies with Spider-Man, maybe we'll go into these worlds. I don't know. Or I mean, hell, if we get the rights back to Spider-Man, maybe we'll go to like a 2099 world, or like they're showing us like a Black Noir world. If we do want to go to those realms, they do have them. And we do, you know, and it was just really cool to see those different, like, multiverses. I was like, this is amazing. And we do end up getting to the moment where, like, they do end up, you know, coming to this different, world in the multiverse. And this one world, it's like, oh, like, green light doesn't mean go, it means stop. And the red light means go. And we get to the point where, like, they don't have pizza, they have pizza balls. And it was funny because we end up running, the person that's selling the pizza balls, apparently, you know, America said, you know, in some multiverse worlds, food is free. And she's like, it's so funny, you know what I mean, how in your world, you know, food's not free, but here in different universes, food is free. And, you know, the one dude that makes, I think his name was, I think it was Bruce Campbell, if I'm correct. I think it was Bruce Campbell. He made a cameo on being this, the pizza ball, running this pizza ball cart, which I thought was funny that Bruce Campbell made an appearance because, as we all know, him and Sam Raimi are friends from their work with Spider-Man 1, and also I think Bruce Campbell was also in Spider-Man 2. He was the valet, and also apparently Bruce Campbell was supposed to play Mysterio, I think, and when they were gonna make the third Spider-Man movie, I think he wanted Bruce Campbell's Mysterio, or he wanted Bruce Campbell to be I think in the fourth Spider-Man movie he was gonna do Vulture. But in the third movie, I think he wanted to do Mysterio because he was kind of leading up to Mysterio on Bruce Campbell making his appearances. So I thought that was really cool that Bruce Campbell was in here as like the pizza ball cart, concession dude. I thought that was very funny. And he ends up telling Strange, like, oh, why do you have Doctor Strange's outfit on? Did you steal that from the museum? And he's like, of course you did. Tries spraying mustard on him. But then Strange ends up using his magic and makes it to the point where he's, like, beating himself. And then she's like, how long do you think that will last? That's what America says. And he's like, oh, it should last a week. And I was like, that's so funny that this dude just beating up himself. And then we do end up getting to the point where they're trying to find... they're trying to find the Sanctum to find out really what went down to, where Strange is, because when he's like museum. So, when we end up popping up to the Sanctum, there's a big statue of Strange, and it says that Strange died defeating Thanos, and I was like, oh my god. That, like, how did he die defeating Thanos? These are just instant, like, questions I'm wondering. Like, oh my god, how did he was the one that sacrificed, to beat Thanos in this universe? How did that happen? I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then we end up getting the moment where, like, we end up seeing, on top of my head, I can't, Mordo, there we go. We end up seeing Mordo, and that was a really cool moment. We're like, oh my god, we end up seeing Mordo, coming out of the Sanctum doors, and right away Strange is like, oh my god, like, that's Mordo, you know what I mean? He tried, like, he made it, like, his sworn, oath to try to, like, kill me and take me out, and I was like, wait a second, so, like, did Mordo in our universe actually try going after Strange, and we never saw that, which kind of annoys me that, like, I mean, because we know Strange has been busy. Like, we've seen Strange, of course, in Ragnarok, and we see him make an appearance there. Of course, we've seen him in Infinity War. So, in all that time frame, did Mordo actually, because we do see Mordo at the end of Doctor Strange 1, take the ability from that dude that, like, made it so, like, they used his magic to make him be able to walk. We did see Mordo take that dude's magic. So, it really made me wonder, did Mordo actually, like, our version of Mordo actually try going after Strange, and did Strange, like, take him out, or, like, put him somewhere? I don't know, because clearly this isn't our Mordo. This universe's Mordo, and right away I was like, oh my god, is he gonna fight Strange? What's going on right now? But he ended up saying, I remember hearing about this, brother, you know what I mean, or, like, I've been waiting for this moment, brother. So I thought to myself, oh my god, like, so he's actually good here. He actually likes Strange here. Things actually worked out here. I was like, okay, this is very interesting, because it was a very funny moment where we think they're going to fight, but they don't. He ends up just hugging Strange, saying, oh, I've like, you've mentioned this day, brother, and I've been expecting this day. You've mentioned it. So I guess that Strange knew that this day would come where a different Strange would come and come back. So that was very interesting to me to, like, know that Strange kind of knew that this Strange was going to come here. So that was pretty cool, and I guess told Mordo about this moment where like this Strange will come. So that was really cool, but we end up getting the moment where like he invites them in, and Strange is trying to explain to Mordo about like Scarlet, Wanda's going to be coming after America Chavez. We need to do something now because I need to get the Book of Ashanti. You know how they like. I was hoping that I would know where it is, but since I'm dead, you know where it is, the Book of Ashanti, so I can use the magic to try to stop Wanda from trying to kill America and trying to stop her from taking America's abilities, so she could travel through the multiverse and pretty much take control over all the multiverses. Because I feel like it won't stop there with her trying to get her children back. Like this will do a mass effect on the multiverse. And of course he was kind of like agreeing in a minute, saying I know where it is, I can help you get to it. But he ends up drugging them with I forget what it was, but he ends up knocking them out and putting something in their tea. I think it was like the sands of something that he ends up putting in their tea or something to knock them out. And we do end up getting to the moments where they're actually in cells, like they're in these glass cells. And right away I'm like, okay, we are in the Illuminati compound. I'm like, okay, this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. So that was really cool. Just seeing the moment where like this is the moment we've all been waiting for. We're in these glass cases. We have the cuffs on, like the pretty much it's like it stops them from using their abilities. I was like, okay, we're here. We're like in the moment. We're like, we're gonna see the Illuminati, and we end up seeing the moment where we do see a different version of Christine, and Christine works here at I think it was like they named it. She's like, in the Baxter Foundation, or she said, I work in the Baxter. Right away when she said Baxter, I thought, oh my god, the Baxter building. So I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what the Illuminati compound is, like a version of the Baxter building. Because she mentioned Baxter, I was like, oh my god, Fantastic Four, or like, what does this mean? Are we going to see, I was like, because I knew we were going to see Mr. Fantastic, I knew it, but I wasn't quite sure who we were going to see. And when they mentioned Baxter facility, I think she said, you're in the Baxter facility, and I'm the one that, is in charge of these power dampening cells, and I'm in charge of the whole power dampening cuffs, and I'm the one that deals with different multiversal things that happen here. And you're from Earth 616, and over here this is like Earth whatever. I was like, oh my god, this is so amazing right now that she's talking like they've numbered different multiverse Earth. I was like, this is amazing right now, I'm loving this. And then we end up seeing Mordo end up coming in with the Ultron bots, which was freaking phenomenal to see the Ultron bots again. I was like, okay, are we going to see Superior Iron Man? What's going to happen right now? I don't know what's going to happen. Because I was looking forward to see, I was like, oh my god, are we going to see like Tom Cruise's Superior Iron Man? What's happening? So I was like really excited to see, oh god, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Who are we going to see? Of course it was speculation we would see Black Bolt. I was like, okay, I don't know if we will see Black Bolt, but I was like, I'm going to, I wouldn't put it past Marvel that we would probably see Black Bolt. But the moment where Strange ends up getting thrown into this room, and he ends up walking, and then we see everybody literally sitting in their chairs, and that right away I'm like, that's the Illuminati. Who are we going to see? Because we know Patrick Stewart's Professor X is here. So I was like, I know that's one person we know is going to be here. We know from the poster, from us seeing a piece of Captain Carter's shield. So I was like, okay, so Haley Atwell's Captain Carter is probably going to be in here. And I was like, okay, I know what to expect here. But I wasn't, and I knew that we'd probably get a version of Mr. Fantastic. I was like, oh, we're going to see Reed Richards here somewhere. I'm not sure which Reed Richards, if we're going to see the same Reed Richards from, the old Fantastic Four movies, or we're going to see John Krasinski's Reed Richards. So when we see, and we pan to everybody in the chair, and we see just, glimpses of their outfits. So I was like, okay, I saw the shield of Captain Carter, and I was like, oh my god, that's Haley Atwell's Captain Carter. And we keep going, and I was like, okay, and we do end up seeing someone, I was like, oh my god, is that Black Bolt? But then we end up seeing, and this was the moment the theater erupted. And it erupted when it was loud. It wasn't that loud when we saw Captain Carter. I was probably the only one, or maybe somebody else that said, let's go. When I saw Haley Atwell's Captain Carter, I was like, yes, please. I'm so happy right now. I was literally just jumping out of my seat. But then But then we get to the point where we do see Black Bolt. We do end up seeing, and we end up going across, and we do see Captain Marvel. So the one thing that we do think of Superior Iron Man was actually Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel, which I was like, let's freaking go. I was like, that's freaking phenomenal that we actually get to see Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel. I was like, that's so badass. And she was badass in this movie. For the little time that we saw her, she was kick-ass. So the other moment that I really loved is when we pan over and the last person, because we do see Black Bolt, we get introduced, I think, to Captain Carter first. Then we get introduced to, I think, Black Bolt, and then we do get introduced to Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel. But then we get introduced, the last person we get introduced, the cherry on top of this ice cream sundae, is we see John Krasinski's Reed Richards as Mr. Fantastic, and I kid you not, the theater erupted. People were screaming. I was screaming. I was like, yes, oh my God. I was like, people were flipping out. He literally went through a portal and just sat on his chair. With all the technology this man has made as Reed Richards, he just portaled into a chair. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was flipping out. So at this point, the Fantastic Four costume is perfect. I hope that is Marvel trying to tell us, Kevin trying to tell us, that suit is the same suits we're going to be getting in the Fantastic Four movie. In that, and him, and John Krasinski being Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, I hope that's Kevin Feige telling us that is going to be the Mr. Fantastic we get in the Fantastic Four movie. If it isn't, I'll be very sad. And hell, I would just love it if John Krasinski is the one that directs the Fantastic Four movie. I would take that just to have him involved. Or maybe I would take it like, hell, if the deal is that he gets to direct Fantastic Four, but also, or like, oh, he gets like asked to be in Fantastic Four, and he's like, I'll only do it if I get to direct it. I'll be like, go right ahead. I totally trust you as a director to do the Fantastic Four movie if that means you will be in the movie. Or like, I need him to be in the movie. I don't know if I would just be happy enough if he was the one directing it. I feel like I would, but he killed it in the little time we saw him as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. I kid you not. There's no one better. I need him as the main Mr. Fantastic. If he's not, I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna be so pissed. But I feel like I'm just happy enough that we got him, but we did not get enough of Black Bolt. We didn't get enough of Peggy Carter's, Captain America. We didn't get enough of Maria Rambeau's, Captain, Miss Marvel. We didn't get enough of, Captain Marvel, that's what I meant. We didn't get enough of Professor X, because Professor X, again, Patrick Stewart ends up rolling in this classic yellow floating chair from, again, the old X-Men cartoon, and I was just, right away, and they end up playing the X-Men cartoon, like, they end up playing that little theme of the old X-Men cartoon, and I was like, oh my God. People flipped out because you're in your iconic cartoon outfit. And I thought right away, is this them trying to tell us that, like, also, is there a way that this, like, they're going to, like, modernize the cartoon costumes and make them, if they're going to be doing a Fantastic Four movie, they, like, modernize it? I feel like this is Kevin trying to show us that that's exactly what we're going to be doing when we do Fantastic Four. We're going to modernize the old costumes from the cartoon, and I feel like that would be amazing, because when he ends up using his powers, Professor X, we end up seeing those little like echoes that he does of him using his I can't even think of the word right now. I guess you could say like his I don't even know the word for it, like his telekinesis, I guess that's what you could say, probably, right? Or his mind control and stuff that he does, and you know what I mean. We're seeing him use it. We see like the rays, the echo rays that he's using to try to to get in somebody's mind in this movie. And as we all thought, that moment we're like, when we do see all of them, and they're pretty much saying that the biggest threat isn't Wanda Maximoff, isn't the Scarlet Witch. The biggest threat to the multiverse is you, Doctor Strange. And they end up explaining that their Doctor Strange actually, they made it, the whole statue of Doctor Strange was essentially a sham. He didn't die that way. They said, like we needed people to believe in heroes. That's why we used Strange's statue, so they can believe in heroes. They needed someone to look up to. You know what I mean? They needed a symbol. So I was like, oh my God, because we end up seeing the moment where like we do see like Professor X saying we should tell him the truth, because right now he's trying to convince them, like, look, I'm not a threat here. It's like me and America Chavez aren't a threat here. It's actually like Wanda. She's coming to get America Chavez. Like, you guys need to like help us get to the Book of Ashanti so we can stop her, because she's trying to kill this kid and she's going to take these powers and she's going to like destroy the multiverse. You know what I mean? And none of them are believing him. And we see, of course, Professor X showing Strange what the other Strange did, and the other Strange used the Darkhold to pretty much, you know what I mean, that like to try to stop Thanos, but also like was a big threat. You know what I mean? Like he went too far, I guess, with the Darkhold. So right at this point, you know, they ended up killing him because he went too far. And Black Bolt ends up doing the final blow, ends up pretty much, you know, using his strong echo voice and pretty much, you know, just disintegrates him. I mean, because he realized he's gone too far, and they realize that, you know, he's too much of a threat to the universe, to the multiverse. We have to like take him out. And that was a really sad moment where we do end up like we see them, all of their version, like they're kind of like the versions of the Avengers, the Illuminati. We see them all on Titan, and we see Thanos in the corner, literally impaled with his double-sided blade, just laying there, which was so graphic. Like, Sam Raimi did not shy away from how graphic this movie was. It was so graphic, it was so violent, it was so gory, it was like, it had the horror element of like how scary it was, and like, he killed this movie, guys. Like, I'm so happy this movie was so well executed. So, at this point, like, Strange is like, in shock. Like, he's like, oh my god, you know what I mean? He's like, he's still trying to convince to them, like, so, like, what? Like, why was there a statue there? He's like, you know, and Captain Crow's like, we needed people to, you know what I mean, to believe in heroes, and like, and he's like, still like, he's like, I'm not that, I won't be doing that, I need you guys to listen to me, and they're just not listening. So, the moment where, like, we do end up seeing, you know, Wanda, the only way she's able to, like, get to America is she's using the Darkhold to pretty much travel into the multiverse using dark magic to get into her other self that is literally in the same world of the Illuminati world, that has Billy and Tommy that are actually alive. She's using that body, her other body in the multiverse, to pretty much go get America Chavez's power or get America Chavez for her, because she can't travel into the multiverse, and that's exactly where they are. So she's able to go through using magic to get into her other body so she can execute the plan of getting America to our Wanda. So that was really cool, seeing those moments where like she ends up going into her other self in the multiverse where Billy and Tommy actually are alive. And she's pretty much, you know, happy. She's like, I know this is going to work. She's like using that as motivation. Like, oh, I can feel you guys. You actually are real here. You know what I mean? And she's just, you know, but she's taking over a different version of herself. You know what I mean? It's like she keeps forgetting that, because we end up mentioning, Strange ends up mentioning in this movie, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do to that Wanda? What are you gonna, like, what about that? What about those kids' mom? Like, what are you gonna do? Those aren't your children. That's that Wanda's children. Like, what are you gonna do? And pretty much she just doesn't care. She's like, you know what I mean, they'll love me for me because I'm their mom, when in reality she does not have kids. That Wanda has kids, but she's not understanding that. She's willing to kill that Wanda, that Billy and Tommy's mother, just to benefit the fact that she wants her kids that bad. That just goes to show how far she's willing to go and like to get her children back, but that's going as far as a villain to go to get her children back. She's willing to kill people to get her children back, and I just think that's a really good villain because she has a strong motivation to get what she wants. And she even says she doesn't want to be a villain. She said she showed America mercy by sending monsters and not herself, knowing that if I did it, I would do it, and that's me showing her mercy. Is me sending people out there to kill her so that I could take her abilities. It's like, damn. It's like, I loved how Elizabeth Olsen just killed her performance. She always kills it, and like every time she plays Wanda, she plays it better and better. And I just love the moment where like she ends up using that other version of herself and ends up walking into the Illuminati compound, ends up taking out all the Ultron, bots that they have protecting the Illuminati compound that they use as like their security. And I love that shot where John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, ends up pulling up the security feed, and then we end up seeing like Wanda taking out all of the Ultron bots that are they're called like I think that's exactly what they're called, and ends up pretty much Ultron Sentry bots, and ends up pretty much we see Wanda just crushing their heads, exploding them, and doing all this, doing and that, and then that's when they kind of realize, holy crap, we gotta do this now. We gotta get up and we gotta go deal with her, because if she gets in here, she's gonna be, trying to get America, and she's gonna be, they just think that they're in over their head. She's like, they're like, oh, they're gonna try to get America. She's gonna probably try to get, her abilities, and then but they don't believe Strange at this point that she's a bigger threat. They think that Strange is the threat, so they're trying to trap Strange there. And they're pretty much, but they're like, we need to stop, Wanda, because she's in here, and, and we're going to just deal with her. But they were in way over their heads, because once they're out there trying to deal with Wanda, yeah, literally, like, they all end up standing in front of Wanda. Like, we get Captain Carter, we get Miss Marvel coming in there. I think, actually, I don't know, I think we get Miss Marvel in there, we get Black Bolt in there, and then we have Mr. Fantastic literally dropping in front of Wanda, literally saying you need to stop what you're doing, because, like, Black Bolt could easily just open up his mouth and kill you. And then one moment that Wanda says, where I said, oh, holy shit, it's about to go down, is the moment when, Wanda literally says, do you, because at this point, because, like, he's like, I understand how angry you are, I have children, you know what I mean? But you need to stop what you're doing, or you know what I mean? Like, you just need to stop what you're doing. And at this point, she's like, Wanda's like, oh, does your kids have a mother? And she's like, yes. He's like, yes. You know what I mean? She says, is your wife still alive? Or is your kid's mother still alive? And he's like, yes. And she's like, okay, good, because at least I know that they'll have somebody once you're gone. I said, oh shit. And then he ends up literally putting out his arm. Or actually, no, he doesn't put out his arm yet. She at this point, when she says that, Black Bolt's about to open up his mouth, because, he ends up, she ends up, making that threat. And, because he's like, once Black Bolt opens up his mouth, he could kill you. And she's like, what mouth? And right away, he's like this, and he's trying to, use his ability, and he ends up blowing up his head, and ends up deflating. It's we see the implosion, and we see him bleeding, out his mouth, and, bleeding, out of his eyes, and he ends up pretty much dying and falling on the ground. And at this point, Mr. Fantastic ends up reaching out his arm, but he ends up stopping. She ends up picking him up and ends up unraveling him like he's some, Play-Doh string. I was like, holy crap. And he ends up, exploding. His head ends up exploding. I was like, oh my god. She's just taking them out. And then next thing you know, we have Captain Carter trying to stop Wanda using her shield, and she has her jetpack on, in the What If show, cartoon. And then we see, of course, Miss Marvel trying to, take her out as well, using her, her blast. And that was just a really cool sequence where, we see, Captain Carter, Haley Atwell just running around the room, throwing her shield. And then we have a moment where, we see Wanda catch her shield. And, she ends up, throwing it, she ends up throwing her shield. But then Wanda ends up deflecting it, putting it into the wall. And then we see this moment where, she gets her shield back. And she ends up throwing it again. Or, she ends up getting her shield back, and then she's like, why don't you just stop? And then, she's like, you don't give up, or whatever. Why don't you just give up? And she's like, I could do this all day. I was like, let's freaking go. She just said, I could do this all day. I was like, oh, bro. I was like, let's freaking go. And then we end up seeing the moment where, she ends up throwing her shield. One ends up, getting it, ends up throwing it back at her, and ends up going in Captain Carter's, stomach. Going through Captain Carter's, chest or stomach or whatever, and we just hear her fall to the ground, and we see the shield into the wall with a whole bunch of blood and guts dripping off of it, and I was like, oh my god. And then we get to the moment where, right now it's just Miss Marvel, and I keep saying Miss Marvel, it's just right now it's Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel, and it's Wanda going at it, and that was really cool. We saw that in the trailers where we thought it was Superior Iron, it was actually Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel. Which again was really badass to see her use her energy beams and shit. But there was a point where she's using it and she's like, leave my universe. And I was like, damn. I was like, really cool. The moment where she's using her beams, and then we see Captain Marvel's visor get disintegrated off, and I was like, oh my god. She's really about to die right now, Captain Marvel. And then we get to the point where she ends up getting shot into this big pillar of a statue. And then we get to the moment where Wanda ends up bringing down the statue, ends up crushing Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel. And I was like, oh my god, she just killed the whole entire Illuminati easily. I was like, holy crap. It just showed how much they undermined her strength, how much they literally thought undermined the whole conversation that literally Strange was having about how, like, Wanda's a threat, she will take you guys out, and, like, they were all acting like she couldn't do that, and they would deal with her if she came there, and they were all thinking that Strange was the threat, and she wasn't the threat, and she couldn't even get there, but she got there using, the Darkhold, and using her other self to pretty much walk into the Illuminati and take all them out. So it's like, they really did not know how much she wanted her kids back, and how much she was willing to do anything and everything to get her kids back, and what her strength was. They literally undermined everything, and they ended up dying. And they also pretty much weren't working as a team, essentially, because we ended up getting the moment where, like, we see Mordo pretty much making an argument with Professor X about, oh my god, you know what I mean, we can't let him go. He's gonna, like, remember, like, what happened to our Strange or whatever. We cannot trust Doctor Strange at all. You know what I mean? Like, we can't trust him. We can't let him go. And pretty much, Professor X is like, I trust him. I don't think this Strange is like all the other Stranges. So that was really cool. Professor X is like, he means he has hope, saying, he has hope in Strange. He's like, I don't think he's bad. And, like, once him to let him go, we see Professor X go out there pretty much trying to stop, Wanda. And we do get that moment where, like, he's in Wanda's head and tries to stop her, which I was like, because my sister had the argument with me earlier saying, do you think Professor X, like, she said, oh, Professor X could definitely stop Wanda using his, mind capabilities. I was like, well, Wanda has that too, and she's part Infinity Stone. I was like, she could totally take out Professor X if she wanted to, and my sister said, oh, no, she can't, or whatever. I was like, okay, bet. So we get a moment where, like, he gets in Wanda's head. He sees Wanda, the real Wanda, that's like that is gotten taken over by the Darkhold, being trapped underneath the rubble. It looked like the rubble of the house of in Westview. It looks like, or the rubble of Sokovia, her house when she was younger. I don't know, and she's pretty much trapped there. I mean, trapped in the fact of, like, she can't get out. And we do see, Professor X trying to get her out so good Wanda can take over this version of Wanda of the Darkhold that took over her. And he's not able to get her out because we do see this cloud of red pretty much, trying to stop, Professor X from, like, taking, trying to save the good Wanda to take over this bad Wanda. And at this point, or, like, the sliver of good that's still in Wanda. And, at this point, we see the moment where, like, Wanda is able to get in Professor X's head and pretty much snap his neck. Like, she goes in, like, they was able to, undo him taking over her mind, and he was able to take over, like, since he was in her mind, she was able to take over him and snap his neck inside her mind, and he ended up dying, Professor X. I was like, damn. And then pretty much at this point, she's trying to get America, and we see Christine, like, trying to get America out of the cell. Ends up not working because she's able to, like, take over, like, the control board. But she ends up, kind of, like, honing her abilities a little bit, America Chavez, and ends up breaking the cell open, it looks like. And then they end up, like, escaping out of there with Strange. And, she even, Strange is asking, okay, where would good Strange, put this portal to the Book of Ashanti? Like, where would he put it? And, she's like, oh, it's down here, like it's underground in this tunnel, where it's, like, in this tunnel where it's, like, the water's above, so they're, like, underneath the water right now in this tunnel. And it was really cool, the moment where, like, the only thing that could open up this doorway to the Book of Ashanti was his watch that Christine gave him. So I thought that was really cool that the watch that Christine gave him was, like, the key that opens up to the Book of Ashanti. I was like, that's really clever. The only thing that Strange would know that would open it is something that means something to him, which was, again, the watch that Christine gave him. I was like, okay, it all rolls back to Christine and how, like, he feels like, did he make a mistake? And he feels like, was there ever any outcome of the multiverse where I was with Christine? Because again, that's a part of his story, is that, he feels like he can't, he's afraid to love. He's afraid, he's afraid to put this, like, of, being in a, he's afraid to love, essentially, because he knows that all leads to bad things and stuff. So he's just afraid of commitment, afraid of, of all that stuff. So that was very interesting to me, that was the thing that opened it. I was like, that's really cool. It all rolls back to, again, Christine. So we get the moment where, like, they do end up going in, and they end up getting chased by, like, the different version of Wanda from, the had Billy and Tommy. And, she is literally all, like, bloody from all like or I guess you could say it's like oil from all like the Ultron bots, but it looked like blood that was all over her. And that was just insane to me, that literally like she's going on this killing spree because she's not letting anybody stand in her way. Because one, also the Darkhold like took over her, but it's also like her grief and her anger of how, she is willing to do anything and everything to have her children. And it even shows that she's willing to kill a different version of herself, a different version of herself, like to go have her be with her children, even though, again, she's willing to kill their mother, Billy and Tommy's mother, so she can have her kids. It's like, damn, it's like you really see her grief and anger and what she's willing to do. So we see her running through, and of course, Strange brings it down to like the water is like, like she's like, it will distract her. It won't kill her, but like her, being drowned would distract her while they could get in through and get the Book of Ashanti. But she ends up getting in there, ends up destroying the Book of Ashanti, and at this point she ends up taking America's like abilities enough to open up a portal so she can send Christine and Strange into a different universe. And ends up sending America, into where our Wanda is, and then lets go of that Wanda that had Billy and Tommy, so she could go back to Billy and Tommy until she would have use for her again. Or the only use of her for really in general was if she would travel into a different multiverse, that Wanda was able to go and stop, to stop, and take and get America. I'm just shocked out of all the multiverses, it was actually that out of all the multiverses that America and Strange landed into, escaping, Wanda from Comertage, was the universe that Wanda is alive with the children. I just found that funny, is that was the one that they landed into, where that Wanda, the one Wanda that she could control, that had Billy and Tommy, was actually in the universe that Strange and America landed in. But I was like, okay, I wasn't thinking about it too much, where I was like, okay, that it's just, it just happens that it's that universe that they ended up landing into that she couldn't control. You know what I mean? That she wanted to get away from Wanda from was the universe with Billy and Tommy alive, with, where she could access that Wanda to get America to send her back to our universe. So I was like, okay. So at this point we see Christine and Strange literally trapped in this universe that's like all of like it's like binding and it's moving, and like the city's like completely like ruined, the world's completely ruined, where it's like it's just moving around too much. It's like the multiverse like that universe like broke, essentially. Like it's just we saw it in the trailers where it's like it's all like mind bending. It looks like they're in the mirror dimension. It's like all mirror dimensioned. I was like, God, I was like, dang, I was like, geez, like I'm assuming that of course like this is where Dark Strange is, and of course that's where Dark Strange is. And we end up finding out that Dark Strange ends up protecting the Darkhold in this universe, and actually ends up using the Darkhold, and he had the moment where Strange saying, that moment, you know what I mean, that one nightmare that you keep, like he says, that one occurring nightmare that you probably keep having, where it's like you're falling off of a building to your death. I'm the one that's doing that, and he ends up killing all the Stranges. I guess that can't be with Christine or something, or like he ends up just killing all of them, or ends up killing all of them to try to get the Christines or something. I don't know. But that was really interesting to me that, he kind of like specified that like he was the one that killing all the Stranges that, that just couldn't be with Christine. Just in his anger that he couldn't be with Christine. At least that's what it sounded like, because he ends up wanting the Christine that left the Illuminati universe. He wants that Christine. He's like, I'll let you take the Darkhold if you give me your Christine. I was like, damn, bro, he's like, I don't think she'll go for that. And we end up having this cool fight that they're using these music notes, and they're making music when they're throwing them at each other, trying to use them as weapons. That was really cool. And we have this moment where like Strange hits the piano, and it sounds like the Shining ying, or at least that's what I think, where it's like when they do like the ying. You guys know what I'm talking about. Or like, back in like old horror movies, they would do that. I know that mainly from The Shining, they do stuff like that, or like even, or like maybe in general back in like old horror movies. But like, I was like, oh my god, they're using that music, and they used like scary music when they were like bouncing, like using notes as like weapons. I thought that was very cool tonally. That Sam Raimi having fun, like, giving us that, like, because this is like this is supposed to be like the dark universe, where like the very like the horror universe. I was like, this is really cool. Whereas like using the music and like using it to like to giving us like music in the fight sequence, but giving us the horror music of them using his weapons, and that's what's making our music for the scene. I was like, that's very interesting and very cool. And just the shots that Sam Raimi was using in this movie, where like we do end up seeing Wanda, even using the other Wanda, we're seeing how she's she's floating in a circle with a whole bunch of candles around her, using this using the amount of energy and powers that she has from the Darkhold. We're seeing seeing how strong she is, that she's floating and doing all this and being able to even take control of a different version of her multiversal self. I just thought that was very cool. That the shots of this, like the shots in this movie, like when they would spin around or they would tilt or they would. It's those iconic Sam Raimi shots that no one else, like, it's the flair that he has, and it's something that just knows that you're watching something of Sam Raimi. We just had those shots that it's like, oh, it's a Sam Raimi movie. You just know by just seeing these shots that just know that just is in tone to him as a director and him as a filmmaker, is the shots that he does that it's just his stamp of knowing that those are his movies. And I just love the shots that he did in this movie. They were just breathtakingly awesome. They were just freaking phenomenal. So the moment where, like, they end up fighting, he ends up smacking that Dark Strange out of a window, and he ends up landing on the gate of the Sanctum, which was like, oh my god, that's just like, holy crap. He's landing on, like, it just literally pierced him, and he's just hanging there. It's like, they did not shy away from the violence, guys. Like I keep saying, like, this is the darkest, most gruesome Marvel movie I think I've ever seen, like, ever. And, you know what I mean? This gives me hope with Moon Knight and with this movie. It gives me hope that, like, we're finally getting the dark content that we deserve. Finally getting that them pushing through those barriers. Like, we're finally getting them doing it. I'm really stoked. I'm happy. This is what we've been wanting. Them finally breaking past those barriers and finally giving us the dark content that we've been wanting. And I'm here for it. I'm stoked. So once that happens, he ends up getting the Darkhold, and right at this point, Wanda has America Chavez pretty much trying to get her abilities so she can get over to Billy and Tommy and be there. And also, she wants America's abilities so that way she's able to travel through different points of the multiverse, just in case something happens where they get sick and maybe a different multiverse has the ability to heal them. She wants to prepare for any outcome where, like, she could stay so she can keep her kids alive. You know what I mean? So it really shows, that she's really not only to get to Billy and Tommy, but she's willing to kill somebody also to make it so, like that really shows, how much she's willing to go. Is that she's not only wanting to kill America for her abilities to go through the multiverse, but she's also doing it so also she keeps Billy and Tommy alive just in case they get sick. It just goes how far she'll go as a mother. You know what I mean? All those extra precautions. I was like, damn, she's really willing to do anything and everything, take out anybody, and do anything and everything to get to her children, and you know what I mean? And just, and have what she wants. I was like, damn, she's so far gone, Wanda, at this point. I've been realizing that. I'm like, she's, that Wanda that we know is so far gone. It's like the Darkhold has consumed her to the point where she is the Darkhold, because the Darkhold ends up getting destroyed, but she's just absorbs so much amounts of it that she just becomes the Darkhold. And we end up finding out, through the adventure, you know what I mean, before she even gets to America, she ends up finding out, because the only ones that are really left at the compound of Kamar-Taj is pretty much Wong and some of his students. And he ends up pretty much sparing some of his students, you know what I mean? Or Wanda ends up sparing some of his students because Wong ends up telling Wanda that there was only a copy of the Darkhold, that the actual Darkhold was actually is actually symbols on a wall at this one place. And the one place is actually made for Wanda, was actually made for the Scarlet Witch, knowing that this is kind of like a prophecy. It's a throne for Wanda. We end up seeing that, which was really gorgeous. It's on this top, this top mountaintop. This top snowy mountaintop that has like this shrine to the Scarlet Witch that's like a throne, and it's like prophesized where, like, she would do this, and she has these creatures that are there as her guards and her minions. I was like, damn, this is like really cool what we're getting right now, and I just loved it, you know what I mean? To the point of, like, she's just so far gone, and it's kind of prophesized that she would get like this, that the Scarlet Witch would take over. And even Agatha even warned her about, like, when you just opened up to the Scarlet Witch, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you've done, and it took over her, you know what I mean? Like the amount of energy. You know what I mean? That's that one creature that everybody feared was the Scarlet Witch, and that's exactly what Wanda ended up turning into. You know what I mean? With the Darkhold controlling her, along with that Scarlet Witch side of her coming out, it just that Wanda that we knew was far gone. It was like gone. She was the Darkhold at that point, and it was like prophesized, and it was just very interesting to me to see the moment where like, Strange ends up using the Darkhold to get into to do what Wanda's been doing, where like Wanda's been to like be in the multiverse, she's been taking over a different version of herself. Well, Strange takes over the zombie version of Defender Strange when from the earlier in the movie where Defender Strange dies, trying to essentially like save America Chavez, but ends up trying to take her powers, but he ends up dying by trying to take away her ability. But he ends up using his body, and he ends up using the lost souls to end up trying to stop Strange from the taking over a dead body because it's forbidden, and he's taking over somebody else's body. And you know what I mean, they try they're trying to like kill Strange in it, like from like trying to like kill Strange from where Strange is trying to get into his other body to try that is in his universe to try to stop Wanda. But then of course Christine uses that vase to disintegrate them, and that was really cool when she was able to like protect him, because like, you need to protect me while I'm taking over this other body, because I'm like the lost souls will try to stop me from taking over another body. And that's exactly, especially through the multiverse. So that was very interesting when that moment happened, and you used the lost souls as a cloak, a levitation, and ended up flying across and ended up like taking out Wanda's big creatures that were put there at her like throne. And I thought that was very cool. And of course, Wong like survived after she threw him off earlier in the movie, once Wong brought her to that throne place where like the writings of the wall of the Darkhold. She ends up throwing him off, and I thought she ended up killing him, but she actually ended up didn't killing him. It was actually on the ledge, knocked out until he woke up when Strange popped up. And mind you, Wong killed one of those creatures before even Strange flew over, but Strange took out the rest of the creatures and ended up like the way it was, where like Wong got up and Strange ended up using those lost souls as his allies, and ended up pretty much getting them all around Wanda, and then Wong ended up trapping her in this like circle ball of magic. And while he's trying to do that, he ended up realizing where like Wong's like, you need to use the kid's abilities, meaning that you have to kill her, but that's the only way, I can't hold her anymore. And then Strange is like, there's another way to do it, where it's like, you know how to control your abilities, you've been controlling them this entire time, I know you can do it, kid, and we have to kick this witch's ass. And pretty much we get this moment where like Strange is on the ground, because Wanda ends up breaking out, takes out Wong, takes out Strange, he's laying right on the ground, zombie Strange. And then we end up seeing America ends up using her abilities, ends up punching open like multiversal like star like portals, and pretty much of her power ends up pretty much punching Wanda, which was really cool to see her do that. But then of course Wanda gets the upper hand, and then of course America's like, you want to be with your children, ends up opening the portal so that they could see, like, so that her children can see what her mother has turned into. Like, you see how your kids don't want you, like, look at you, you know what I mean, in a way of trying to show Wanda that like this was all a pipe dream. It would have never have worked. Look how far you've gone. Your children are scared of you. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't have worked. Your children are scared of you, and you have to look at yourself. It's like, it was like a reflection of like, look at what you've become trying to be with your children. You know what I mean? And I mean, look at what you've done. Look at what you've turned into. Kind of trying to use that as like as a mirror of her children being scared of her, knowing that it wouldn't work, and that knowing that she that side of that her children aren't scared of is no longer there. And that moment where like good Wanda, the Billy and Tommy are screaming for good Wanda, their mother, and Wanda just throws her. And that was just a sad moment where Billy and Tommy are just hiding and scared, saying, stay away from our mother, and throwing things at her, and she just like screams at them. It's like she was no longer that mother that was gentle and kind, and you know what I mean, and just knew, you know what I mean, like she went too far gone. She was not that same Wanda that was that caring mother for Billy and Tommy. She's turned into something that that just, she couldn't even recognize. So that was really a really sad moment. Like, this movie really had the emotion, really had the action, really had the horror elements, really had the not shying away from the violent elements. Like, this movie was just a wild ride of action, horror, emotional, like, ride. Like, literally, it was like everything I could have hoped for in this movie. And then that moment where, like, they go over to Good Wanda, and just Wanda's on the ground, like, crying, and then Good Wanda ends up walking over, pretty much, and, like, literally putting, her hand on our, mind you, it's like, she's not even Wanda at this point, she's Scarlet Witch. So Wanda's putting, her hand on Scarlet Witch, which is our Wanda, which is no longer Wanda anymore, it's Scarlet Witch. It's like, I love how they did this too, like how Sam Raimi wrote this. It's like, our Wanda that we know and love is no longer there. It's Scarlet Witch. It's the Scarlet Witch that Wanda, that Agatha has been warning everybody about, saying, this evil being. That is what we're seeing. Wanda. It's no longer Wanda. She is the Scarlet Witch. So it's like we're seeing the good version of Wanda that is with that did live out with Billy and Tommy, And it's like we no longer have our Wanda anymore. We have the Scarlet Witch. So it's like that evil version is like, or that good version is talking to the evil version that once was the good version, that once was, like, we're seeing the two different sides of the coin, of like the inner side of how we knew Wanda could, like, be strong and go to that far level. We're seeing of when that corrupted her, essentially. We get to see that version of what Wanda turned into, and we get to see that good version that we know and love of Wanda, where, like, she did care about Billy and Tommy, she was a good mom. She was the Wanda that we all know and love, and Wanda saw that, like, what have I turned into? I used to be that, and and I was about to kill that version of myself, like, I was about to kill that version again of myself. So I just thought that was very good, of like the self-reflection type thing. And when that moment where, like, good Wanda touches Scarlet Witch on the cheek and says, "I'll love them for us. I'll be there for them." It was like, damn. It's like at that point she realizes, I need to destroy the Darkholds, I need to destroy myself, essentially. Like, her destroying herself destroys all the Darkholds, because at this point she is the Darkhold, essentially, which means that when she destroys herself, she'll destroy the other Darkholds, essentially. That's how they wrote it, which I thought that was really beautiful how they wrote that. But I told my sister, like, my sister thinks that Elizabeth Olsen's not coming back. I'm like, she's definitely coming back. I don't think this is done for Wanda Maximoff. I think she will still be there. And I tried to also explain it to my sister, even though that I understand what they were trying to say in the movie, that, like, Scarlet Witch is dead, but Wanda's still there, essentially. Because you could take this both ways, where, like, oh, Scarlet Witch and Wanda, like, Wanda is Scarlet Witch. It's just a different name for, Wanda when she's, like, has her, like, it's just a code name for Wanda when, she's an Avenger. But no, it's like, but also it's like a thing where it's like, no, they made it where, like, Scarlet Witch is this ancient being that's, like, this big threat, which that part is died, but I do think Wanda Maximoff will be back, whether it's a multiversal Wanda Maximoff, or, like, she did destroy the Darkhold within herself, because she was the Darkhold and she destroyed all the other Darkholds with it, but Wanda is still alive, but she destroyed that Darkhold, that Scarlet Witch Darkhold side of herself. I don't know. It's different ways to say it, but I want to know down in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you guys think Wanda is dead? You know what I mean? Do you guys think she's dead? Do you think we'll see her again through, like, a different multiversal Wanda? Do you think that's how they'll bring Elizabeth Olsen back, as, like, a different multiversal Wanda? Or do you think we will see that Scarlet Witch that went to that Wanda that turned into that Scarlet Witch that went too far? We'll see her again, but she'll be more level-headed, because that side of the Darkhold will be gone. The Wanda that never used the Darkhold will be gone. You know what I mean? That side of herself will be gone. I don't know. What do you guys think? Down in the comments below, let me know. But that moment where, she brings down the building, and she's like, no one will ever be I forget the word for it. She said no one will ever be drawn to the Darkhold again. No one will ever be possessed by it again, or be drawn to it again. And she ends up bringing down the big ancient tower that was, like, made for her, and she ends up pretty much, like, ends up collapsing on her. And of course, Strange, ends up, I think he ends up waiting there, I think he ends up going back into the other portal to, like, where I guess he was always there. So he ends up leaving that zombie Strange Defender Strange self there in the building when it collapses, ends up going back into his his body where he is, where like the Dark Strange was in that universe with Christine. And of course they get the moment between him and Christine where Christine's like, like I guess like he admits to Christine like, I love you. And I forget what he says. He's like, oh, like he's like, I would love to have you come with me, and she's like, I would love that too. And he's like, I know you can't, and that was just really sad because he can never be with Christine. In all different scenarios of the multiverse, he's never with Christine, and of course he's like, I love you, but he's like, I know that it can't happen though, and it was just really sad to hear all that. So it was like him like tying the like him ending the story of him and Christine in this movie. It was like their story parting ways, where Christine gets married, she moves on. Steven ends up moving on when he ends up getting back from, that universe. Wong and America end up opening up a portal to take Strange back to his universe, which is again, back to his universe. And we end up seeing America ends up staying. She ends up training at Carmortage. And, of course, Wong ends up still being the Sorcerer Supreme. And then, of course, he ends up respecting Wong because, as we all know from No Way Home, he hasn't respected Wong as Sorcerer Supreme. He's been bitter about it, saying, damn, just because I blipped doesn't mean, like, how come you get to be Sorcerer Supreme now? Of course, he's been bitter about it that Wong took his place. But it's like he's respected Wong now as the Sorcerer Supreme. And he has now went back to the Sanctum, the New York Sanctum, to protect it. While Wong is now at Carmortage trying to fix up Carmortage, while also America is trying to train there. So I do think we'll see America Chavez a lot more. And I wonder if this means that Strange will take a back seat, but I don't think he will because by the way they ended this. Because I thought Strange was going to take a back seat right when like he walked in and he was about to go home, and he kind of like, kind of accepted that Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme, and how kind of like America Chavez is training. I was like, okay, I wonder if like we will see Benedict Cumberbatch as Strange again. Until the moment where like we end up seeing the moment where like before he ends up going back through the portal, Wong ends up asking like, "Are you okay?" Because we ended up seeing how like the dark hole affected other Strange. Are you okay? Or how it affected like Wanda and all the like we saw how it affected Wanda. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm okay. He's like, are you okay? He asked Wong that. And he's like, you know what I mean? And Wong's like, I've never been asked that before. And he's like, Strange is like, well, I forget what he says. Like, oh, well, you think with everything going on, we're happy, but I just want to know if you're okay. Or if it would be enough, like our lives would ever be enough, because meaning that Strange, that was what Strange was feeling in the beginning of this movie. Like, is my life enough? Am I happy? And he wanted to ask Wong the thing, like, are you happy? Is your life enough? And Wong's like, I wonder what my lives are in all the other different parts of the multiverse, but I'm here. And he's like, at least we have each other. He's like, yeah. And then he goes into, his thing. He's about to go into his portal. Then he ends up making with a sling ring, and of course, America ends up walking over to Strange, saying, "Well, oh, I'm happy I landed in your universe." And he's like, "I'm happy you landed in my universe too, kid." So it's like he made a new friend. They become friends. She's learned to trust Strange. Strange found a different way of a different outcome. It wasn't always just the Strange method of him finding just one way to do things. He found a different way that all the other Stranges probably wouldn't have even come up with. He did his way of, which wasn't his way. It was a way that people, it was a way that, even Wong was kind of agreeing with at the end sequence, but he's like, there's a different way, and this is the way we're going to do it, where it's like, I know you can do it. I know you have the power that you can control your power, your ability. So it's like he realized that there's always a different way to do things. It's not always just the Strange way. I thought that was really cool, a good message. Especially as Strange as a character, it's always like been like self-obsessed and always been like, also there's always one way to do things. But yeah, we end up ending this movement where it's like, movie where like Strange ends up fixing his watch, ends up fixing the glass, which is like a new clean slate for him, and he ends up closing the book again of the closing the part of his life with Christine and letting Christine move on with her life, and then closing that chapter of his life, knowing what he had was good with Christine, but he needs to let her move on. And he ends up fixing the watch, putting it away. He ends up walking down the street, ends up pretty much like hearing this like weird like electric guitar, which I thought was really cool how Sam Raimi did that. It was just his mind was like, I don't know, it was just the pain of his mind at that moment. And we just see like an eye pop in the middle of his head. It's like, oh my god, is he becoming like Dark Strange? And then and the movie ends up ending, and then the end credit scene is him walking down the street, and then we end up cutting open or like popping out of the multiverse and ends up like cutting open this universe, and clearly it's the universe with Dormammu. And as it turns out, my sister ended up looking up who that person was, who Charlize Theron is playing, and saying like, in Charlize Theron's character, I'm not quite sure, I don't really remember what her name was, but Charlize Theron literally came out saying to Strange, and opens that same thing, like opens up that universe, like slicing it open, ends up opening a universe, and pretty much like says to Strange, we need to fix this, which I don't know what he needs to fix, but he ends up like putting on his outfit, and his eye opens up on his forehead. So I don't know what this means, but apparently the girl that Charlize Theron is playing is apparently the niece of Dormammu, which is like, oh my god, what does this mean? And apparently this character ends up, her and Doctor Strange end up being together. They end up being in a relationship in the comics, which I don't really quite remember what their name is. But that's very interesting to me, that he is technically closed the chapter with him finding love with Christine throughout the multiverse, and realizing that would never have worked, and finding a new friend, and and finding respect for Wong, being the Sorcerer Supreme, but also opening up a new chapter of somebody that is eventually going to be his new girlfriend. So I'm just excited to see what's going to happen in the third movie, because clearly there will be a third movie where, like, I guess Dormammu's involved, I guess, it looks like, because they're going into Dormammu's dimension. And she said that, like, we have to fix something. I'm not quite sure what she said exactly, but it might have been the events of what all that went down with, maybe it involves Strange using the Darkhold and all the lost souls trying to, and all the lost souls not liking what he was doing, so maybe that's affecting the universe. I don't know. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen in the next movie, and I'm just thrilled, again, that, that this movie was just... I saw this movie, I'm thrilled that this movie was fantastic, I'm thrilled that this movie was everything I thought it would be and hoped for, and yeah, literally, guys, this movie proves that we actually don't need rated R movies, and actually, this gives me hope for Blade. If this movie is any indication, that Blade's gonna be like this movie. If this movie is any indication of like what possibilities of like we have nothing to worry about what Blade's gonna be amazing. Like, they can push the PG-13 rating, and like this gives me hope for Blade, that we don't need to rated R film. And I think this will be a message to a lot of people in the superhero fandom, that we actually don't need rated R movies, it seems like. Maybe it's still for Deadpool, but for Blade, they could literally do this, and I would be fine with it. Like, so I'm kind of happy about this. That just gives me hope that this helps Disney, that they don't have to do rated R films, but they can give us the rated R content by pushing the PG-13 rating. Because I'm not gonna lie, this, like, you know what I mean? And people thought Batman needed to be rated R, but it really didn't. They pushed that PG-13 rating. And some people would think, just by looking at the Batman movie, that they would think it was rated R, but it wasn't. When people would see this movie, they would think it was rated R. Honestly, I was like, oh my god, this should have been rated R, just by how much shit went down in this movie. It could have been rated R, but they got away with it, with pushing that PG-13 rating. Which also makes me wonder that, like, it was told that there was a rated R version of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but it makes me wonder how much grittier would it have been if it would have been rated R? Because apparently there was a lot of stuff that was taken out. I wonder if it was in that rated R version that was undone when they took all the stuff out and they gave it this PG-13 rating. I wonder how much other stuff was taken out. I can't imagine much of a difference was probably taken out. Maybe the only thing I could really think of is maybe us literally seeing the moment where Captain Carter, like, the shield gets thrown through Captain Carter's, like, stomach. Maybe we would have actually have seen it if it was rated R. That's, like, the only thing I can think of. I also hope that if we do get, when this movie does come out, I don't think, knowing Disney, they probably won't give us that rated R cut. They probably won't. That has all the extra scenes that actually got cut out of the film. They probably won't do that because it is Disney, which, again, I'm fine with if they don't, because I'm so perfectly happy with this product. This movie is a masterpiece, and I don't think the other version couldn't have been any better, because I just love this version so much. I am excited to see what deleted, if any of the scenes they did cut out will be in the deleted scenes. At least I hope so, because I'm not gonna lie, the Spider-Man No Way Home deleted scene stuff was like a bit of a drag. It wasn't as good. It wasn't as packed full of content as at least we all hoped it would have been. And I feel like Marvel has been very lacking in their behind the scenes and special features of movies. When you get like the Blu-rays and stuff, it's been very lacking, and I feel like that's what upsets me so much. Back in the day, they used to just jam pack like the behind the scenes and how things were made and all the special features, but nowadays they don't do that, and I feel like it's a bummer. Especially I feel like it's a spin in the face to all the people that put in their hard work and dedication to making these movies so good. People want to know and see what they do in their job. Like, people want to see how they came up with things and how they came up with with the movie that they made and all the hard work that they put in. People want to see that. I want to see that. So I hope, for people that watch this video, send this out to to Marvel, or send it out to the people that, made this movie, to tell them that we want to see the special features. We want to see the deleted scenes. We want to see all the bonus content. We want to see these in the MCU, in the movies going forward. Like, jam pack it, put it all in. We do want to see it. But yeah, guys, what a freaking phenomenal movie. It was just everything I hoped it would be and more. And it didn't disappoint. Sam Raimi made another banger of a movie, and I hope to see him again. I hope, Marvel brings him back to direct another movie. Hell, it'd be cool if, he came back to do another Spider-Man movie if we do continue with the Tom Universe movies. It would be cool if he made one of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies going forward, make the fourth film or something. I think that would be really cool if he would come back to do that. Or hell, just come back to do any film. I would love it. Hell, I would love him to do the Fantastic Four movie. Put him on for that. If any indication of what cool shit went down in this movie with John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic, everything was perfect. The suit and also the way he was moving. Make him do Fantastic Four. I will love that. I want him to do more movies in the MCU. And also, guys, I hate to say it. I don't know if people are going to like me saying this. This movie, and I know you can't really compare, but this movie was 100% better than No Way Home. I can't believe I'm saying that off of the nostalgia of seeing Toby and Andrew. Honestly, if I had to choose one movie to see, I think it might be this movie. I can't believe I'm going to say that, but I think it might be this movie I would rather see more than No Way Home. Honestly, this is going to be so high up there on my ranking list. I just love this movie. It was something that, that we you know what I mean? It was just something so different and so unique that, I think this might be the best movie of Phase 4. Honestly. Maybe secondly coming in on Shang-Chi, and then I would probably put third Spider-Man No Way Home, but I think this is first on the list. Honestly. But yeah, I'm stoked, guys. That's movie-wise, though, because, of course, we had a lot of show content this year, but movie-wise, probably Shang-Chi, no, not Shang-Chi, probably, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Shang-Chi, and then, of course, No Way Home. But yeah, guys, I want to know down in the comments below, what did you guys think about this movie? Was it everything you hoped it would be, and more? Or do you guys think that, it wasn't as good as you thought it would have been? Or what was your favorite scene in the movie? Let me know down in the comments below. What was your favorite scene? What was your favorite cameo? And also, where do you guys think the next Doctor Strange movie could go? And also, do you guys think that Elizabeth Olsen will come back as Scarlet Witch, aka, or as Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch? I feel like, of course, they will still call her Scarlet Witch when she is in her outfit. Or I guess they never really called her Scarlet Witch, I guess. I guess it was only until WandaVision where she officially got the name Scarlet Witch. So, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if we will ever see Wanda Maximoff again. I wonder if we will. I do think we will, though. I don't think Elizabeth Olsen is done. Even though they kind of concluded her storyline. I explained to my sister, even though they concluded her storyline, in the comics, there's always different storylines they could do. I don't think Elizabeth Olsen is done. I don't think so. At least I hope she's not, because I love her character, and I want to see her more. You know what I mean? It's I just don't buy that she died in that building. I just don't buy it. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you guys think she's dead? I don't know. I don't want to believe she's dead because I love her character so much, and I just felt so bad for what she did, but she was just so far gone, and she realized that. That's why she just dropped the building on herself. She realized she was too far gone. She was no longer Wanda Maximoff. She turned into the Scarlet Witch. She turned into that prophecy that Agatha was talking about, that evil, ancient being, and she did. So, I don't know, in her grief. And, it led to the Darkhold, and it led to her losing herself. But yeah, guys, that was the video. Again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put those notifications, like this video. I'd love to have you guys here, part of the family, part of the channel. We're all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. And guys, we are almost yet again to 500 subscribers. I would love it again if you subscribe to the channel, put those notifications, like this video. My goal is to get to 500 before my birthday. My birthday is literally this Sunday. So I would love it again if you've come across my video, if you subscribe to the channel and put those notifications and like this video. Also, me hitting 500 helps out with the community tab. I get to actually open up the community tab, which I'm really trying to do. Hit that goal so I can open it up, so I can actually ask you guys questions or ask you guys, put polls up on like for instance, of which movie did you guys like. I could put up a poll and you guys like vote on it. It just opens up more of communication to the channel, and it actually helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Once I open up the community tab, I can get more people to come join the fam here, and they can read in my videos. Will like people will come across my channel more if I'm able to open up the community tab. I'm really trying to grow this family here and trying to make it one of the biggest channels on YouTube to show people that you can follow your dreams can come true. And you know what I mean? And that's what I'm pretty much trying to do here on the channel, is to show people that you can follow your dreams and you can achieve your dreams and your goals. So yeah, guys, literally, I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to you guys down in the comments below, and I cannot wait to see this again because I saw it in Dolby and it sounded phenomenal, but I need to see it in IMAX next. That is my next mission. I'm gonna try to see it Saturday because, you know, I usually go out a day before my birthday for like birthday dinner with my sister. So I'm gonna try to see it in IMAX if I can, if it's not sold out. If it is, I'll probably go to like a luxury cinema where it's like reclining seats and stuff, and it's just like it's still a nicer screen than just a normal standard screen. I'll do that if I can't see in IMAX, but eventually I do want to go see IMAX, probably when it dies down a bit, in the weeks to come. I'll probably go see it when like it's not as like packed and stuff, and I actually can get into an IMAX theater, because I'm not going to be surprised if for the next couple of weeks IMAX and Dolby are sold out. So, like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to hold my breath because, I mean, it makes sense. It's a big Marvel movie. Of course, it's going to sell out. Those are usually the known theaters that get sold out, are IMAX and Dolby. And, like, it was really hard. Like, luckily, shockingly, it wasn't that hard for me to get my Dolby tickets, because me and my bro Troy got in to get our tickets really early. Like, they dropped them sooner than they were supposed to, and we secured our tickets. So I was really happy when like we were on right as they dropped and we got our tickets. But I don't know. I think for Saturday it was sold out, or it was like there, or at least there was no good seats left. So in the weeks to come, I will keep looking at IMAX, and I will I'll probably I might just wait until IMAX dies down, and I will just go see it in IMAX for my second showing. But I can't wait to see this movie again. Again, I think it's a masterpiece. I think again Sam Raimi killed it. I think Benedict Cumberbatch killed it. I think Benedict Wong killed it. I think Elizabeth Olsen killed it. And I think her name is Xochitl Gomez. She plays America Chavez, if I'm pronouncing that right, her name. She killed it. I can't wait to see her going forward in the MCU. She's such a great addition to the MCU, and she kills that role. Xochitl Gomez, she kills it, and I just can't wait to see her again as America Chavez. But guys, yet again, that was the video. I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.